the house of the Lord. The Jews and others thought that the early Christians did not have a religion because they did not worship by offering sacrifices in a temple. The house of the Lord was the name given to the temple in Jerusalem, where animals were sacrificed on an altar by priests as an act of worship. But Jesus said that there would no longer be ritual sacrifices in the temple in Jerusalem. He said that the temple would be destroyed, and it was in 70 AD. He also said, "Someone greater than the temple is now here." And Paul wrote, "God does not dwell in temples made with hands." The writer of Hebrews said that continually thanking God and doing good was the new sacrifice that had replaced the old animal sacrifices. But in the 2nd century, some Christians began to see the Lord's Supper as a sacrifice. Worship. In the 4th century, the definition of church changed from a gathering of Christians to a building where sacrifices were made. After Emperor Constantine became a Christian, he made Sunday a day of rest and began building holy temples, houses of the Lord, where the priesthood wore sacred robes and acted as earthly gods, usurping the role of Jesus as mediator between God and man. In the early days of Christianity, followers of Christ came together to build each other up spiritually. Paul urged all Christians to use their gifts and contribute to the edification of others. There was no sacred place or time for their meetings. The church was not a building. Preaching. After his resurrection, Jesus appointed Paul to preach. Paul told the church in Rome that he deliberately did not preach the gospel to those who already knew Jesus. The early Christians didn't preach to each other. Only a few who were skilled in evangelism were appointed to preach to those who didn't know about Jesus. The early church was not a place where one person preached to all the others. It was a gathering where those who already knew Jesus encouraged, strengthened, and edified one another. The New Testament doesn't mandate participation in rituals led by a hierarchy of clergy. It mandates that everyone be spiritually built up by everyone in a way that produces visible results.